All right, traders, welcome to Quad S Trading, and we are live. So if you have any questions, do send them in the chat, and I will respond to them as I get the questions. But today we're going to go over the trades of definitely not January, June the 15th. So I'm just going to pull that spreadsheet real quick here just to show you guys what it looks like. So on the 15th, we'll go over all these trades here and I'll show you how the BP and the MMP strategy works. So we have a few DVs and VWs, but these ones here, some of them are trades. Some of them were already in trades, so we won't take them twice because we only enter in a stock and a trade once. If you want to do more than once, you absolutely can. Our win rate is extremely high. So in June, we had the 15th, we have a 24% day. On the 16th, we had a 9%. On the 17th, we had 11%. On the 18th, we had 12%. And the Friday was a holiday. So far this month, we don't have one red day. However, we do have one that's pretty much break even, which is June the 3rd with only a 0.37% account growth. But with the fees, you're probably, yeah, definitely break even or at a very small loss for that. So let's start looking at some of these trades. And all we use is one or really two indicators, but primarily just the one that we just incorporated all of our strategies together. So it's called the Quad Trading Master. This is the one that I use because it has all the settings, but you guys will have access to the student one, which pretty much just gives you trade size, account size, and what trades you want to play. And that's all your settings that you guys have. But for me, I got the whole package. But that's just for back testing. But anyways, let's get started here. VSME, let's have a look here on the 15th. Let's just go back. With VSME, we trade this one a few times lately. See a nice 27% win there. But on the 15th, it's this trade here. So a BP entry at 333. And the quantities, let me just switch over this to the live one here. 2 seconds here. Yeah, this is the one that I have it all based on the 50K account. That's not what I trade. I'm just saying this is just what I do my videos with is based on a 50K account. So obviously if you have half, you're making half the profits. Okay, so the 15th, here we are. So 333, your shares is 1,500 shares, and you cover at 291. So if you look at our chart here, we have a lot of things going on. So first of all, we have the VWAP, we have EMA 200, SMA 200, and this green line here, this is a profit target. It's just 1% above the SMA 200. I've seen a few stocks where it just wants to hit the SMA 200 but doesn't hit it and it bounces back up. So we just, 1% off to take an extra cover or two is definitely worth it. And this gray line is the midpoint. So it's in between the VWAP and the SMA 200. So like for example, one of our rules, if it's a stock comes up like this and it closes below the midpoint, it's not an entry. It just tanked too much for us. But this green line here, it does change as the profit target changes. So we have 4 profit targets. We have the CMP, a 40% win. So if it hits 30%, you just get out no matter what. Because a lot of times it will drop 40%, pump back up, and you get a second entry. And then the end of the day. So sometimes you'll see this green line where it's going to be like the 40%. It's going to go straight like this, and eventually it's going to follow up the SMA 200, or it's going to follow the CMP and then go up with the SMA 200. So everything that we have here is all changes dynamically. You literally just have to follow the indicator to get the same trades that we do here. So next one is GELS. Here's the 15th, right? So this is pumps once, twice, close below the VWAP. You enter at 209 and we cover. And this is what I'm talking about right here, right? So this is a 40% mark and then it hugs the SMA 200 because it switched from the 4% to the SMA. So if I were to do a replay like this right here, you'll see that our label shows target. Target means 40%. And if I fast forward a little bit, it will switch to SMA 200 and we covered, boom, right there at 127. So everything is very intuitive and it is amazing. So let's have a look here. GLXG on the 15th. This here is a double winner. And this here is where you'll see that it comes up like this, right? It does a BP requirement. So the pump, it closes right here. We covered at the SMA 200 and it pumped again and it did another BP, closed below the VWAP, closed at the end of the day, or the SMA 200 was all very close at the end here. This was a double trade here, which is very nice. ZNB on the 15th was an after hour trade. So for the after hours, we just do straight 20% or CMP S&P 200 end of day. So because it doesn't have as much time for the tank, like there's not enough time for it to fade, and the following day is always a gamble. So we cover end of day on all of our trades now, especially with the new PDT change rule. So this thing pumped enough to set our BP trade here, and we cover here for 19.69%. Now you'll see that my spreadsheet and this here is slightly different for some reason. When you do a replay or a back test with back days, the data is not exact same, so we're always off by a penny or two on the covers. But the entry is the same, which is strange because I log these every day on the same day, and then I back test them to make sure everything is accurate, and then for some reason it was always off by a penny. So this one here is CUPR. So this one here did both strategies, so an MMP and a BP on the same candle, and we only trade the one, right? So we trade BP, and then you cover at the SMA 200, and it tells you right here, SMA 200 at 678. And this here, right, the 1% is the difference between here being 678 and here being 677. That's the percent difference for the things, right? So here we have the one condition for our MMP strategy. It was armed right here. Boom, that's your entry. And this halted, so you just do a limit order right here, and you would have entered here, came up against you, tanked right after. KXIN, this was also a nice little quick one. This was in the pre-market within a couple candles, right? Boom, close below the VWAP right here. So we did not close below the midpoint, being the gray line, right? Midpoint is 772, the close is 780, so it's still above it. You enter, and we close at the CMP, or sorry, we close at the SMA 200 right here for a nice win of 23% on this trade. And if you go over here, you know, the volume just dies right down. So this is the move we wanted. Boom, boom, and then the rest, it just faded. No volume. So NIXX, this is also a very nice trade, if I remember correctly. It did the double strategy, right? So we have the MMP and the BP. This will happen very often. And then because they're like the entry condition for candle pattern is the same. The only thing that one requires a pump, one requires an MMP to be armed, and if they both happen at the same time, it just does the same strategy. So you just, like I said, you pick the one. So 138, you enter on this candle here, and we cover at the SMA 200, which is right here. Then we have WLDS. Right, these stocks, they will always do the same pattern. They will ask the SECs for some more shares. They will pump their shares. They will dilute their shares by selling them. Then the price goes up. The price comes down. The number of shares goes up. Once they have too many shares, they do a reverse split so that the price kind of sort of goes higher. So instead of being 10 cents, they do a 10 to 1. It goes back to $1. But obviously, they want to go a little bit more because they want to have that dollar rule for it to be in the NASDAQ. So they'll maybe do a 20 to 1 split. And then they'll bring the price up to $2, and then they will do the same thing again. Ask for some more shares, pump, dump, and away you go. So this is what these guys do. Like if you look at the 4-hour chart on these things, it's always the exact same story. Pump, dump, pump, dump, pump, dump. This is a huge pump, dump, 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 and that's what it does all the time. And that's why I like short selling, because these patterns are very predictable. So once again, 345, just about under 1,500 shares, and you cover at the CMP right here. From here down to here, a nice 18%. IMCC. Let's have a look. This one here on the 15th. This is a after hour. Now, obviously, this here armed. You could argue this is an entry or this is an entry, but our minimum stock price is 50 cents. There's no entry right here, and we entered over here for a very small win of 8%. Just under 9% here. PRFX, let's have a look in here. 15th. So usually our MMPs, we don't play it on the CMP, but if it's within 100% and it just like goes up, it just wants to touch this and tank. And that's exactly what we trade. Boom, right? Armed, pow right here. Cover down here for 27%. On this trade here. HUBC is the only loss of that day, and it is a minuscule loss. So stock pumps, creates a BP entry, and the label is right up here. And we pumped again a little bit higher here. See how like the midpoint is fairly common where like we'll have some resistance here, pump up, resistance again, and boom, of day. Very small, 10% loss. CTM. We'll have a look at this one here. Make sure that nobody's chatting here in the chat there. No, we're good. CTM on the 15th. Here it is. We'll pump again. This did not do any of the requirements that we needed. Boom, there it is. BP, it has been armed. And close below the VWAP is right here. Cover CMP, S&P 200, end of the day, all nice profit targets. JRSH is the last one on the 15th. This one here, straight up candle, 113%. BP and the CMP triggered on this candle here because this one here actually closed below the VWAP. Right, so the close is 766, the VWAP is 773, so it closed below, even though the picture doesn't really show it, and we covered at our 40% mark, but we could have definitely covered here at the S&P 200 or the end of the day. But you never know. Sometimes you'll see stocks like they will literally just like come up like this, 40%, come back up, get stopped out, and tank, or you'll have something like this come down, hit the S&P 200, come up, stopped out, then tank. So we don't want to play those. So we just 40% is more than enough for me to be happy to be like, you know what? If it hits 40%, I am taking the profit. CCTG, this one here is on the 16th. Same thing, BP, double red, boom, 166 for 3,000 shares, and you cover at the end of the day. This one here for a small 8% win. GDHG, this one here was a phenomenal trade. Anything with 40%, those are your big winners, right? So here's gaps up a little bit here, boom, boom, boom. Here's all the pumps. Here's your closable VWAP, and there's your 40%. Even then, right? If you go like this down to the S&P 200, this would have been 55. End of day, roughly 55%. But you can see this comes down here like this, S&P 200 bounced up a little bit. But you'll see some of them. Maybe we'll see them this last week. It just skyrockets and get stopped out. NIVF. This one here is a very common one. It happens all the time. Pump and dump. Do you like right here? How many times have we played this one here? Boom. 17% win. Minus 38, but 17, 10, plus 36. We see this one very often. So here's a BP entry on this candle right here and close at the SMA 200. FLZH. There's the after hour trade, right? Boom, entry, close at the CMP, but SMA 100 is right there. This would have been a really nice trade. The SMA 200. Here down to here. Oh, we would hit the, just about 40%. But we would have gone out here anyways at the 20% mark. They would have never made it down there. MYSC on the 16th, same thing, after our play, hit the missed monthly pivot. That's your entry closable VWAP. Exit, 20% win. Beautiful. SUGP. This one here was a stop out. Let's have a look at it. Because there was another re-entry. And I actually longed this one too. So on the my trade to pull account, I actually shorted it right here, but I longed it right here on my trade zero account with my real money, because this pattern is very, very profitable for longs, where it pumps, everybody's taking profit here. So you would you go long on the close of this candle, your stop loss is the bottom here, and you just let this thing ride up. And because the CMP's up here, it is a magnet for the price. I just let it go here. It came up like this, and then when it closed below on this candle, or I think it was this candle right here, I got out. So it touched it. I said, if this goes below this candle right here, I'm out. And that's was about I think it was something like this, what, 70%, 80% win? 75% win. So that was a beautiful trade. So when they don't happen every day for longs, but when they do, I hit them hard. And one that happened today, just sidetrack here, NXTS. This one here did similar today. And I was able to grab a little bit of profit here. Right, there's your candle over here. So you enter here, your stop loss is the bottom here. And when it came up on this candle right here, I got out right here on this candle right here. So this one here was what, 25% roughly? Yep, 22%. So I'm shooting for the straight ups, and if there's a little bit, it boom right here. But if I would have had a little bit longer, a good easy 100+%. But anyways, let's go back to SUGP. That was just a sidetrack. Like once you start looking at all these stocks, you'll notice patterns, and that's what we focus on here, just patterns. Okay, so BP entry right here, we got stopped out at minus 38%. It was armed, hit the current monthly pivot. It did an entry right here, and we were able to take the trade and cover right here at the SMA 200. I just want to check one thing out. All right, we're good. And then this one here, I think this was an after hours tiny SQL loss. Yeah, enter here, pretty much break even on this one. But we're seeing a lot of these stocks now that where they close here and they pump in the next day 4 a.m. You take the first VWAP close and they tank. I don't know why. Ever since the PT rule, we've noticed more of these like this. Boom, open, close. On the 17th, we had NIVF again. Right, this is the 16th, 10%. On the 17th, we had a 36% win. Right, boom, BP, enter. EHGO, this one here was a stop out. I think this, yeah, this is a pretty large stop out. Our max stop out is 50% on these strategies. So you see a 50% loss. It's it hit our max. So this one here, it was armed. It's a BP and a MMP at $3. We covered at 438 for 45% loss. Now, if I were to put this VW indicator back on with these green dots, this here triggered a trade. So this here VW is based on dilution stocks, while the BP and the MMP, they don't care about dilution. They just trade whatever does the pattern. And this here would have been an entry right here. If you look at a spreadsheet, right here, right? So you enter at 423 and you get out at 266, which is the end of the day. And we almost recouped our losses. So from here, end of day, let's zoom a little bit more. Right here, end of day, 40%. So we've only been down 5% on this trade. CLWT. This one here is on, oops, let's have a quick look here. Chat, we're good. BP entry, right? CLWT cover at the 40%, right? So this is a nice big win. Here down to right here, 40%. And this thing went to the SMA 200 and end of day. CLPT. Here is your BP 1810, close at 1739 for a 4% win. Now I say yeah, 4% win. UTSI, let's have a look here. So this thing here pumped, armed, it did a BP and a MMP, and this thing went straight down, you know, within what? 5, 10, 20, 30 minutes, you're up 40%. Love these. ICCM, this one here was a max stop out for us. Right, so here it goes. It hit that pivot, which is what we love to see. BP down here, but unfortunately it bounced off of the, almost hit a profit target, and it came right back up, and we got stopped out right here. The reason we got stopped because our max loss is 50%. So from here to here is 50%. And we did test it. We're like, you know, high update, but sometimes you get massive losses of 100%, which is very discouraging. So we just maxed it out at 50. SMBR, this one here was actually a really easy trade. Essentially, no trades here like this under 50 cents. Boom, it knocks down right here. And the news was that this is doing a Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and that I think it was Sleep Country is buying them out. So this was an easy, you know, easy hold all the way down because this is dead. But 4%, I like it. And sometimes these, even though they're doing a bankruptcy, sometimes they will pump the price. I saw last time that we played one of these was 23andMe. The stock was the ticker was ME, and it went pretty crazy, considering that it was doing a bankruptcy. This one here is an after-hour play, 10% loss, I think, very small, 8%. Yeah, armed. MMP play on this candle right here, close below the VWAP, and we close right here. See, once again, right? Pumped again, boom, take. So when we start identifying these patterns like this is where we start building strategies. And we're like, hey, you know what? If it does this, boom, cover, cover, right? And that's what, 3 of them that we see now that do this. Boom, done. And ATPC, there it is right here, the after hours. Boom, boom, 16.8%. And then lastly, on the 18th, we have PMC. This was actually a pretty quick trade too, right? BP entries right here, from here all the way down to the CMP within a couple candles, 16%, S&P 200, and end of day. Sometimes, like when these stocks crash very quickly, the volume dies down, right? So you're like, a couple thousand K here, it's not even worth it. In the after hours, you got like 100, 200, see like 100 volume. It's hard to get out. So just play it in the open hours when the volume's there. Get out when the profit is. CDT on the this is actually today, 7% win. This was on the Thursday because the Friday was a holiday. Armed on the CMP, BP, both entries are at the exact same time, and we cover at 98 for a 24% win. WKSP. Have a look here. Boom, BP entry, it pumped. And you'll see these patterns happen all the time. It's the exact same story. And we cover this one at the CMP rate for 18%, which is nice. We had WPRT do a VW2. So VW2 means the stock dilution is perfect and it does 2 pumps. Pump number 1 is here, sure. Pump number 2, but because everything's below the VWAP, like this wasn't very clean. So there's no entry here. Here's technically your second pump. Comes up, goes below the VWAP, comes back up. 3 candles above, green candle, boom, right there. And then you cover at the end of the day, right here. No matter what, like we haven't been playing the VW ones very often now, but these ones here are 12% win. I haven't been playing the VWs just because I've been focusing on the BPs and the MMPs. So this one here, yeah, there you go. BP, MMP again, right? It pumps, it dumps, and we cover at the SMA 200 for a nice 25% win. And lastly, on this day, for this week, LNKS, which was a beautiful. Fortunately, right now, I'm not waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning to potentially take a trade. So this one here was not taken, but this was a 40% win. Now we are in the process of trying to automate all this with Trader Pool. We did hit a milestone the week of this trading, so last week, where we were able to automate a couple trades, and today we were able to execute the trades, the stop loss, take profits. So we're getting there where Trade the Pool will be completely automated using our strategies. It'll be really, really sweet. That way you'll be waking up with profits like this, which will be really nice. So anyways, if you like what you see, head over to our Discord. We do have a 7-day trial for the elite traders, which gives you access to our alerts if you want to follow them. So if I were to show you guys the Discord real quick. All right, so let's go in these are all of our alerts. So today we had EHGO. So it was a stop out for a BP, I believe. Small win for a DV. And then if you go here, our BP, let's scroll up for today. So we had an entry on GETI, we had an entry on EHGO and CDT, covered the CDT for a 7% win. Entry on the NXTS. Now, NXTS, we did have a stop of 24. We had another entry on RDB. EHGO, stopped us out at 36%. But then we had a few covers that oh, there you go, here, 40% here, minus 4% here, and a 24% here. And there's also, for some reason, I think I'm missing one trade in here because my bot went down. So anyways, all of our alerts are going in here, which is great. That way you can trade while you're working, trade while you're doing other stuff. Alerts goes off on your phone, you take the trades. Oh yeah, these was rare. RBT and this one. Yeah, so anyways, quite a few trades going on. But like I said, our Discord is great. Everything's here, everything's automated, more or less. You just have to do the trades, but just follow the indicators. And if you look at our spreadsheet, we are sitting at 219% win, including today's trades. Anyways, head over to Discord. We can always do a live call. I can show you everything that we do. I can show you around our private channels before you decide to um, pay for the subscriptions or whatever you like. Anyways, see you in the next one.